Okay, so this other video I want to do is on boundaries and how important boundaries are for not only yourself but other people as well. Now, I think there's a lot of talk, people, they meet these really strong connections and then they find out about soulmates and twin flames. And then a lot of what happens is people start to read about unconditional love. And then before long, they think they have to be some kind of doormat in order to make this relationship happen. That they have to lay down and die for the other person, heal the other person. It's obviously, this is my opinion. If you don't agree with it, you're more than welcome to kind of just cross the link and go and watch another. But it is about unconditional forgiveness, yes. But you will have a hell of a lot less to forgive and resentment as soon as you learn self-love and you learn how important boundaries actually are. Boundaries are about creating a mutual exchange of energy. So if you don't have any boundaries, you'll end up getting into situations where one person has all their needs met and the other person, yourself, has none. And over time, what's going to happen with this is it's going to end up with the person that doesn't have strong boundaries nagging, chasing, arguing, drained, unhappy, resentful, angry. So throwing your self-love away to love another is actually going to create quite negative feelings, and it's going to be difficult to love that person purely. Whereas if you have strong boundaries and a strong self-love and a strong self-respect, then you're actually going to overflow with love, and you'll going to be able to share that with another. I just think that a lot of the teachings are sort of taken in the wrong way and taken a little bit too literally. The whole idea of the twin journey is that it's you in, it's one soul in two bodies. So they treat you how you treat yourself. So if you have no boundaries and no self-respect, you're very quickly going to get that vibration back. You'll get somebody who doesn't treat you very well and doesn't really respect you very much. And it might not be what's going on in their mind, but it's going to be how the dynamic's going to evolve. It's going to end up with you getting none of your needs met, whilst they get seemingly all of theirs met, because they're getting to experience whatever they want without overcoming their fears or without giving things that might be uncomfortable for them. So, actually, when we don't have boundaries, it's impossible to trust ourselves, because if we have strong boundaries, then it means actually not only can we trust ourselves, we can trust others, because we can actually go into situations, be honest, open and vulnerable, stand in our truth. We know that if our boundaries are not met, that we'll just be able to walk away from that situation. When we don't, then we end up not able to trust ourselves and we lose the connection with ourselves. That's when we don't have boundaries. It's kind of like we lose ourselves. We just lose ourselves into the other. We lose all trust in ourselves, and then we lose trust in them as well, because we've lost our boundaries and our own trust. We can't trust them. So then that's when you get people going all crazy and checking last seen and worrying. It's because the trust with self has gone, because the boundaries are not there, they're not existent. And after a while, a lack of boundaries, it just creates such a resentful, draining, that people turn to nagging and arguing, rather than just having clear boundaries. And boundaries isn't about controlling another. It's the actual opposite. Boundaries is like, this is what I need to get my needs fulfilled in this relationship or this union or this friendship or whatever it is. And then I'm not judging you, or I'm not telling you anything that you have to do, because that's your free will, your choice. It's very important when you set a boundary, you're strong that that's what you need to be fulfilled, and you're very open with what the other person decides to do. You have to be willing to lose. If you're not willing to lose, if you're willing to lose yourself and your own self-love in another, even if that's your twin or your soul connection, then you won't be able to get it anyway. It will never work like that. It's never going to work when it's taken at the cost of your own self-love and your own happiness and your own peace of mind. So you look after yourself first. You make sure that you're in a situation where whatever your needs are, they're met. For example, this isn't one of my patterns. I use examples that are not my patterns. So say, for example, you and your connection, you're having casual sex and you want more. Well, someone's needs are not being met. Their needs are being met because they're getting all the connection of like they're getting their sexual needs met, and they don't need to have to commit in order to or spend more time with you in order to keep getting their needs met. Whereas the other person who wants the commitment isn't getting any of their needs met. So it's for them to say, if that's making them miserable and it's making them unhappy and it's not fulfilling them, the boundary is, I want more from this situation, but I totally understand if you're not ready to give it, if you don't want to give it, that's totally your free will. I won't judge you whatever you do. But I'm going to have to kind of follow a different path. And then it's up to that person, that's unconditional love. It's loving yourself unconditionally, but being allowed to walk away from situations that don't serve you, even if they're very, very strong connections. Otherwise, you'll have lost the connection to yourself completely. And so you're pretty much not going to connect to them because they're showing you your connection to self. This is where we misunderstand the teachings. The teachings of the twin flame journey and any strong soul connection you meet is that they are showing you how you treat yourself, how much self-respect you have for yourself. So if they're not treating you very well, just have a look at what you're willing to put up with without any kind of boundary. Are you willing to settle for an exchange that isn't mutual and none of your needs are being fulfilled, whereas all of theirs are? Because if that's the case, I suggest you have a look at that and readdress that and look at where you need to stand up for yourself and verbally express, not just think, what you need to keep you fulfilled in the situation. And if they're not wanting to give it, then that's where the unconditional non-judgment and acceptance comes in, and where you can, take your own path. And that's super important. You have to be willing to lose, and that's a big part of the journey. If it can't keep you happy, you have to be willing to lose. And I think that's where a lot of people get into trouble, because they're so afraid of losing that they'll just completely lose themselves in the process, and they'll allow themselves to be treated in ways that make them resentful, angry and miserable, and then there's no unconditional love going on anyway. So if you have strong boundaries, it actually allows you to unconditionally love, because you're so self-loving and filled up, and then everything you give is from a really pure place. I swear, if you come from a place where you're not respecting your boundaries, you will end up very resentful and very angry, whatever you might say, and very upset and low. So the more you can put down boundaries that are important to you, the sooner you'll kind of lift and be able to raise to that vibration of union, because that happens within first. So that was my video on boundaries. And yeah, they're not about changing somebody else. This is where people get a bit mistaken. People think a boundary is about changing somebody, but it's not. It's about just simply stating what you need to keep you happy and then allowing the other person. And the journey is about unconditional forgiveness, but I guarantee that unconditional forgiveness becomes easier when you have strong self-boundaries, because otherwise you have a whole lot to forgive, not only in another person but actually yourself, because you'll say, why did I allow that for so long? Like, how can I actually forgive myself? So the sooner you don't need to be in that position, the better. But obviously it is a journey, and whatever you've done in the past, you were where you needed to be, And now is the time when you can switch things. So it is about unconditional forgiveness, it's about non-judgment, but it is about unconditional love to self, first and foremost, so that you can then unconditionally love somebody else, because you know that your needs will be met, and then you can go about making other people's and helping other people achieve their needs as well, from a very balanced and whole place. I always think people say, it's always like, I use men because I'm a woman, but it goes both ways. But men will always say the kind of woman they want to meet. But actually, if you list the kind of woman that they want to meet and the qualities she has, I'm sure they'll all say they want really easygoing, people, which is true to a sense. But I bet if you look at all the people that they've actually treated very, very well or really fallen for, it'll probably be women with strong boundaries. And the same for us when we look at the people that we've, when we write our list of all the ways we'd want our perfect man to be, I very much doubt if you actually looked at your dating experience of the people you've really fallen for, that they will tick off those things. You'll probably find they won't. So what people say they want is not always what they actually want. So just bear that in mind. Someone might give you all this about how they want someone caring and soft and nurturing, and everybody does to a degree, but you will find that people will actually be drawn to people with self-love, self-respect, and strong personal boundaries. So that's just something to think about. Like I always say, you're totally welcome to ignore this video and cross it off and then just go and find one that you like. But this is where I feel a lot of people are getting stuck in, continually kind of realising the journey is about forgiveness, but just going in and in and in for more, and the cycle repeats, and it never changes, and it goes on for years and years, because this really is about treating yourself how you want someone else to treat you. They are going to treat you exactly how you treat yourself. So if the connection isn't great, look at where you've lost your connection to yourself first and foremost.